Welcome back to Entertainment Talk. Today we're here to do another TV season review. This is going to be for DC's first season of Stargirl on HBO Max. It used to be on DC Universe and also on the CW. I'm your host Matthew. Joining me today, my co-host is Robert. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing all right. One of the DC Universe shows, which is now basically a HBO Max show, Stargirl, DC Stargirl for the first season. We're going to start off spoiler-free, go into our ratings system, which, by the way, if you don't know, has changed a little bit. We've now got must-see or play, depending on if it's a game or a TV show or a film, and then skip and don't skip as well. So which of those would you like to give Stargirl for season one?
I definitely want to give it a don't skip. I don't think it's like awesome, super amazing, but it's enjoyable in parts. Definitely has some odd casting choices, but nothing that's like super, super weird, but just kind of okay. They cast that person in that role. Um, it's kind of, I guess the easiest way to describe it is camp adjacent. I wouldn't call it as campy as like, the 60s um, Batman TV show. If you've ever seen any of that, that was definitely camp.
Yeah.
There's been a couple other things that have been campy-ish. This is definitely camp adjacent, influenced by camp, if you will. Um, I mean, it's not bad. It didn't annoy me to the point where I was just like, oh, I'm never watching this again.
hmm Yeah. I'm going to go with the same. I'm going to go with don't skip. I don't think this is a much must-watch, and I definitely think that you, well, shouldn't skip it, so don't skip is what I'm going to go with. I think they've done a very good job with the first season here. I think that they've set up something really good for the future, because obviously this is a, young show in terms of it being its first season. I think there's some really interesting timing in terms of it moving, well, the DC Universe pretty much being just a comic book thing from next year, and moving that from still going to be a CW show, it's going to be a HBO Max show now, and what that means in potential for the Arrowverse future, which I do think it will become a part of eventually, but we'll see what happens. In terms of its qualities, I thought it was paced really, really well, and it just goes to show again that when you do 13 episodes instead of 23 or 22, you can condense your story a lot more. One of the things I'm most impressed with is not just how quickly they put together the, I'll just say other cast members and other characters and how they fit into the story. I was really, really happy with. I was really happy with how that fit into, Courtney's Stargirl, played by, what's her name?
Breck Bassinger.
Bassinger, yeah. Played by her, who I think is a really, really good casting choice. I really like the cast that they've got here. A lot of which I haven't really seen before. Some I think I have. I think I've seen Luke Wilson in a few things. Who plays Pat, Courtney's dad.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a really odd casting, Luke Wilson.
do you think that was odd?
Yeah, because I've seen him in a few things, and him and his brother Owen both share the same kind of like low key, chill, maybe stoned out vibe a little bit, kind of. And um, we'll get into the spoilers why that is later. But yeah, I didn't hate it. It was just so odd. It
Hmm.
just like that's like kind of like when they announced that um, what's his face was playing Lex Luthor on the Supergirl show.
The guy from Two
Um,
Men. Yeah.
yeah, the guy from Two and a Half Men and Ducky from 16 Candles. If you've ever seen
Hmm.
that,
Yeah.
definitely see that. It's a decent movie. But that's so out of left field as a casting.
Hmm.
But it worked for the most part.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked how these characters came together and the cast, I think, gelled together really quickly. I think the pacing's really, really good. It's still got that teen CW sort of stuff there, but you can kind of expect that. But no, overall, I was just really happy with what they did with this first season, and particularly how they finished the season. What it looks like is going to happen for season two. And yeah, just the Arrowverse potential, which I think is
Yeah.
quite exciting.
One thing I do want to talk about it's a slight tangent, so bear with me. But I think it's more important to what I think of the writers more than anything else. In the first episode, so this isn't a spoiler. They're moving to Blue Valley, Nebraska from Van Nuys, California, And the father, the pairing is that it's Luke Wilson and his son, and then Amy Smart, who plays Courtney's mother, and her. They've kind of a merged family now. And so they get out the car, and he looks. They say, "Hey, here's our new house." And the son's like, "Oh my God, that's huge!" And that was important to me because that was not to me that was not a throwaway line, because I've lived in several cities, some really really big, some really really small, and housing is night and day. And so I just wanted to explain about why that was important by getting up a couple of real estate listings here. So we can argue back and forth on money, but I think we can both agree that $250,000 is not an insignificant amount of money,
Yeah,
right?
certainly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so obviously Blue Valley doesn't exist, so I pulled up Lincoln, Nebraska, and then I pulled up Van Nuys, California, and I put that dollar amount in. So for Van Nuys, I found a condo, which is basically buying an apartment. One bedroom, one bath, 681 square feet, $235,000. That's what you can get in that area.
Right. Yeah.
So I pulled up Lincoln, Nebraska, listing here at $250,000. Three bedroom, three bath, 2,550 square feet. All the bedrooms have hardwood floors, granite countertops, giant backyard, two-car garage. It's huge. And this is something that we've talked about off air about how when you have specific locales, sometimes the regionality might be affected in that. Like, say you did a show at Brighton Beach. I mean, you can get on Google Maps and pull up everything in Brighton Beach, but there's some things that you only notice if you live there or live near there. And this is one of the things that I've noticed. I grew up in small towns and I've lived in giant cities to where, sizes shrink and contract depending on those factors. And, all these kids have lived in California all their lives where housing is freakishly expensive, like stupid expensive. And to move to basically the middle of nowhere, for lack of a better word, that would be a mind blower for them. And they reflected that very well in his son's character. And obviously, Courtney being, I'm a teenage girl, everything's aloof and above me, her not caring also fit in the character. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Um. Yeah, it's kind of shocking to me just the two different listings that you've read,
yeah.
and the stark differences there. So, yeah. But I suppose it's an area thing, isn't it? So,
hmm
yeah.
Well, geographically, like 5 of the 10 most expensive cities to live in America based off housing prices are in California.
Yeah.
You've got LA, San Diego, San Francisco, obviously Silicon Valley, anywhere near there. And then I forget what the fifth one is, but yeah.
hmm So I spoke a minute ago about pacing, and 13 episodes is a good amount. What do you think of the pacing?
For the most part, it was good. Basically, we got to the point to where the whole team was assembled, and then it did slow down a little bit once the team was assembled because they kind of didn't really know what they were supposed to do. It did, sum up pretty well in the end once everything got to the point where it was supposed to get to. So,
Yeah. I was quite happy with how quickly they sort of assembled and everything. Um, and then yeah, it does slow down a little bit. I think around the episode 7, 8 sort of mark. There's still a lot going on, and it's still very well paced, but they just, I don't know, they sort of assemble the group and then don't do too much with it until like episodes 11, 12, 13, season finale kind of
yeah,
territory.
towards the end.
Yeah, which wasn't the smartest decision, but I don't think it was kind of terrible either. And there is there's some small reasons here and there as to, certain people disagree about certain stuff, and I thought that was kind of interesting. How do you feel about the characters? Did you end up caring about them, and how did you kind of feel about
Uh,
them?
Not really in the sense that their characters for the superhero side were kind of arbitrary. Um, and we can get into the spoiler part of that later. I mean, obviously, Stargirl, that was the whole story from the comic book was the comic staff chose her. But the rest of the assembly was kind of hit or miss. Pat Dugan's character of having the mech, That's also from the comic book story, so that fit in with it as well.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so what did you know about Stargirl before this series? Because I knew absolutely nothing about her.
She was on a couple episodes of Justice League Unlimited. I don't know if you can find that streaming anywhere in the UK
I
with
think
the
it's on
DC
Amazon.
streaming.
I think it
Yeah, with
is.
the DC streaming service shutting down here in the States, I don't know where you could get it. Maybe HBO Max, since some of that's moving there.
That's where it should go. Yeah.
Those '90s shows, if you've got nothing pressing that you want to watch, those are worth a watch because that's where we get all the iconic, Batman voices and Superman voices, and that obviously with the Batman side, that's where Harley Quinn got introduced, was that Batman animated series. Um, the Justice League was a good run. Some of the casting choices fit into the modern DC shows. I think I talked about that. Carl Urban being the voice of Green Martian, and then showing up as Green Martian's dad in the Supergirl show. That was why that was so significant.
Hmm.
The actor in the crossover that played Bruce Wayne was obviously the guy that did the voice of Batman and Bruce Wayne and all those animated stuffs, and still does it for the new animated stuff that's coming out. So that's why that casting was so important. Um, so yeah, I mean, some of it worked, some of it didn't, and like I said, that's why I said it's not a must see, but it's definitely, when you get a chance to it, definitely see it.
Yeah, yeah. I did end up liking a lot of I did end up liking a lot of the characters. I do quite like in a way that with the fundamental idea of Stargirl that it's got something to do. It is involving her because she has to have some level of skill, but you can clearly see from like the first couple of episodes, the staff is very much just completely guiding her. But then it's
Hmm.
kind of the fact that like yeah, she's still kicking people and punching people, and she's still swinging the staff around and everything. But it is very much like if the staff feels like Courtney isn't fighting the right way, or like there's a guy behind her she needs to hit, or whatever, the staff will kind of take over and do that. And I did quite like that idea, and I did like that she can basically fly and she can jump across rooftops and that, but through the
Hmm.
staff and everything, and the staff kind of even communicates a little bit. It doesn't like start speaking or whatever, but it communicates in certain little ways here and there, just in the same way as like is it C3PO? Yeah, C3PO
Hmm.
kind of would, and that, um or is it R2D2? Which one's the small one? I've forgotten for some reason.
R2D2.
R2D2, yeah, and like BB-8 and all those sorts of characters. They don't have like voices and whatever, but they do little beeps and stuff and communicate and stuff. Same way as like Groot, I am Groot in that sort of way. So I thought that was really good. But she can't just like do nothing with the staff. It doesn't like completely. It takes over at the beginning and sort of really guides her, but then she has to get used to it and try not to fall off of it when she's flying and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I liked the journey early in the season with that, because obviously as the season goes on, she gets more used to it and comes out with some really really good scenes, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah,
So
and I think that's part of her background because if when you watch the first episode, so again, not a spoiler, they do like the little photo montage of her growing up. So they show her in cheerleading competitions and then martial arts competitions. So they're establishing the physicality. And I'm on her IMDb page, and she actually was a competitive cheerleader before she started acting. And so that's what makes that role a little bit more believable. Much like with Tom Holland being Spider-Man, he had that gymnast athletic background before he got the role,
yeah,
and you can really see that in his physical performances of that. And so that definitely fits.
yeah, yeah. Anything else spoiler free you want to talk about? I've given my spoiler free opinion. I'd like the characters. I like the pacing. I guess we should kind of talk. This can go in the spoiler free section. What do you think about this show's Arrowverse future potential?
Impossible to know because this is not the spoilers because this is literally the opening scene. The Justice Society of America just gets slaughtered, like wholesale slaughtered, because the Injustice Society comes in, kills everybody off. And that's how the kids get all the gear from that is Pat Dugan's character. Luke Wilson's character, Pat Dugan, it works for them, helps them build some of their tech. So he rescues it all, takes it all away, and hides it away. Um, but they're all Silver Age versions. So there's the Silver Age Flash, there's the Silver Age Green Lantern, there's the Silver Age this guy, that guy, and the other guy. Obviously, they're setting it probably like in the 70s, I would have to guess, based off of Courtney's age in the modern setting. Maybe the late 80s.
Yeah.
So they're fairly modern in terms of chronology to our current time, but still, 50s-ish style in terms of the artwork and the character design.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was no references to anything. Obviously, with Crisis, you can just retcon that in later, like season 2 or 3. That's when Crisis happens.
Yeah.
And then whether they remember or not, doesn't matter. So, but yeah, it's it is what it is. So we'll just see if that becomes part of the bigger family or not.
Yeah, I think in the way for the CW, because I think it's still probably going to be on the CW and on HBO Max. This kind of, because in case some of you missed the news, Supergirl is going to be ending with its next season, the upcoming 6th season, which isn't cancelled, it's the final season. Big difference. This could be a good kind of spiritual replacement, because not only is it similar tonally as also to like Flash and not so much with Legends, because Legends is a little bit more silly as opposed to what Supergirl and Flash do. Same. Superman looks like it's going to have a similar tone as well, but the female kind of light-hearted show on the CW that can fit in very easily. Superhero wise, it's on the CW, it's DC, it can easily fit in with that. I think this would be a good kind of spiritual replacement for that as well. And it'll be interesting with the 6th and final season Supergirl, and then the upcoming 2nd season of Stargirl, what they sort of do. If in season 2 they make any kind of references, that will be cool to see. But I think that would be good, and I think it would fit right in with like Superman crossovers or a Flash crossover, and that sort of stuff. So I think that would be good. But we'll see. Because I do think eventually, I think latest by like maybe season 3, I think it will be added to the Arrowverse. Because they've just had Supergirl's ending, and they can replace it with that, and yeah, we'll see. So but any spoiler, I think that's everything for the spoiler free section that we've got, unless you got anything else.
No, we can get into the spoiler stuff.
Cool. Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. We're going to get into some housekeeping. Once we've done that, I'll give you one more spoiler warning, and then we'll get into the spoilers for the first season of Stargirl. So we'll see you for that in a minute.
Hey there, I'm Aaron Holman, host of Eye to Eye, a weekly podcast talk show all about passion.
I have this passion and this fire within me that burns brighter than the fire around me.
Flow.
With performing, there's always a story to tell, whether it's my own or not.
And creativity.
I go, he's more than cute, he's creative.
All with an LGBT twist. Make sure to check out Eye to Eye, that's EYE, number 2, letter I. And rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in today.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Koalu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Koalu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon, there's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. Alright, recently on Entertainment Talk, we did just record a gaming podcast, by the way, talking about lots of different stuff. That will be up soon. Should be near enough around the same time this episode is posted. So if you're looking for this week's Gaming Talk episode, look out for it very, very soon. Other than that, Let's Play Sundays for Crash Bandicoot 4. That's that as well. That's for the second of the 3 demo levels. The third and last one of the demo levels will be released this coming Sunday, the Let's Play episode, so look out for that. Did a little mini-series, or started a little mini-series called Analyzing Television, talking about the upcoming TV crash. That's the second episode of the little mini-series. Just given how many channels and streaming services that we've got, and they all need content, and it's great to have options, but when does it become too much, and when does that cause a TV crash, so to speak? So second episode of that little mini-series. Did a United cast for Man United beating Brighton 3-2 away. There'll be another game tomorrow night where we will actually be playing Brighton again, but in the Carabao Cup, not in the Premier League. And then we play away against Tottenham on Sunday, and we'll see how that goes as well. The first episode of Analyzing Television was talking about US TV shows that don't have UK homes and the potential for some US streaming services and channels that could ideally or possibly make deals with other UK channels so that, you know, other US TV shows have UK homes. That's part of the reason of all that. So I talked about all that as well. The Boys is still continuing. Season 2 episode 6 is the latest episode. I'll be back on Thursday or Friday for the penultimate episode. There will be potentially a delay with the season finale podcast because I'm going to include Robert on that one, and the schedule will just be pushed a little bit further. But it will be the season finale episode, so it's not like we can be late with it necessarily, but that's the update for that. Breaking Bad podcast still continuing. We're up to season 1 episode 3. Tomorrow the season 1 episode 4 podcast will be getting released as well, so look out for that as well. And Gaming Talk last week, we talked about Xbox acquiring Bethesda. Is it ZeniMax is the name?
ZeniMax Studios.
ZeniMax, I keep forgetting their name. They've acquired them, so that's a really, really big deal for a really big amount of money, 7.5 billion. And we talked about lots of other things as well. That is everything at the moment for entertainmenttalk.org, and you can find us on podcast platforms as well. We're going to move now into spoilers for the first season of Stargirl. I should probably mention, I should have mentioned this already, if you want to watch this in the UK, which for some reason I didn't mention, you can go and find it on Amazon. The season 1 box set is up and available for you to go and watch. So before you get into the spoiler section, go and check out all 13 episodes and then come back. Pause the episode. If you're listening on the website, press the home button or the back button or whatever. Just shut it off, pull your headphones out, do whatever. Yeah, check it out on Amazon for the UK, and for the US it's available on DC Universe, at least at the moment, and then the CW and HBO Max eventually. So have a look out for that. Alright, getting into the spoiler section. Is there anything that you want to bring up off the top?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Part of the problems that I had with the show going with the younger cast is that with a couple of exceptions, there's no real connection to the superhero character. Obviously, Courtney Whitmore has always been Stargirl. The staff is conscious, has some low-level AI or something like that. It shows her. Luke Wilson's character, Pat Dugan, he's always been, I don't know if he was a stepfather or a father, but he's always had that role and had the mech, so there's that. Cameron Gelman's character of Rick Tyler being Our Man's son, obviously that tech was genetically locked to him, so that connected it to him. But the rest of the supers just kind of fell into the role. Yvette Monreal, who plays Yolanda, it's like, oh, you're athletic, you can be Catman, only you're Catgirl. And Angelica Washington, who plays Beth Chapel, just finds the Dr. Midnight goggles, and now you're this role because reasons. Obviously with the Injustice Society, all the kid characters are sons and daughters of those characters. Thus, it follows at least that chain of custody, for lack of a better word. With Icicle's kid and Brainwave's kid and um, mm, Sportsmaster's kid, Artemis, and all the others. They at least fit into that role in terms of the lineage of it. Whereas half the superhero team just kind of defaulted into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to disagree slightly. I do like the way that they kind of... I mean, admittedly, they did, in a way, fall into those sort of roles, but, Courtney goes to the JSA museum, or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
She picks up all the bunch of stuff, even though Pat tells her not to. And then, like, she kind of does just leave the stuff lying around, and then, her friends come around and visit, and... Who is it that you said? Beth. She finds the goggles. I did quite like that. The relationship that she had, or sort of relationship that she had with the person on the goggles and stuff, and how that kind of fit into her character. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the interaction between Beth and the voice for the AI that does Dr. Midnight, that I did like a lot, because that's clearly someone that's not good at making friends, having a best friend. And that's the way they played that character, with her wearing the goggles in school, talking to herself when she's talking to the AI. That obviously was, a lot better once she got in that role. But actually, essentially dragging people she barely knows, because she just moved to that town, into that kind of a dangerous situation. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people would actually do that. I mean, granted, we're talking about superhero world, so the rules don't really apply. And I did like the obliviousness of it, where they had to look up the superhero's powers on the Wikipedia page, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I mean, that I got a chuckle out of. I will admit that. It's just, I've never been a fan of taking an established character, changing everything about it except for the name of the character, and then shoving it into another person that has no relation to that character, just to make it age appropriate or whatever level of appropriate it is. I mean, people do that all the time. So this is me, this is one of my old man yelling, "Get off my lawn" moments. It's just that if there was like more than one mentor for her that wasn't her stepfather that she resented up until the last episode, to try to, bridge that gap a little bit, I think I would have liked it more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's basically her, for whatever reason, getting people she barely knows into life-threatening situations.
Yeah, there is a problem with that. I mean, I remember the scene with Wildcat, and which I thought was quite cool, by the way, because it's sort of like an alternate Catwoman in a way.
Mm-hmm.
She's still got some of the same qualities and features and everything, but she's just obviously, different in her own ways. I remember that scene with her like climbing up that brick wall, and you think like, okay, she did actually fall down at one point, and then she managed to grab on again. Like, Courtney putting her in that sort of situation, and they are completely untrained with all these tools and stuff. They don't know. I mean, like you said, they even look up some of the powers for different things. But yeah, she could have fallen off of that building and died from several different types of injuries. So yeah, there was a problem with that, I guess, but I just liked... I remember how they were slowly setting it up, and Courtney gets the staff within, like, is it 1 or 2 episodes? Or so,
the
or
first
something?
episode.
The first episode. Yeah. I thought, okay, I wanted that in the first episode. She's untrained, she doesn't really know how to use it. And then, like I said, in the spoiler-free section, I liked how instead of her training herself how to use the staff kind of teaches her how to use it, and I thought that was a really good idea. And then just slowly, as they introduce each character, in a way it felt a little bit rushed, because it was very early, and some would argue about, you should develop Courtney more, or you should do more with Pat and her relationship, or Barbara and the mum's relationship. But I kind of do prefer, in a way, when shows rush things a little bit more, as opposed to go even kind of middle, to where like it's well paced. and you sort of, because you know where it's gonna go with this, because they're slowly setting up each kind of member, and I thought, okay, if you just kind of not completely rush through that, but go through that at a relatively fast but still well paced thing, and I just feel like that I felt like that fits really well for me. So
Yeah, and they also only had 13 episodes, so they didn't really have time to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and my other real thing, and we can get into this more a little bit, the relationship between Pat and Courtney. And this is why I felt like Luke Wilson being cast, was kind of an odd choice, just because he should have been yelling at her like a lot more for just being reckless and dangerous and damn near getting herself killed. And him staying that calm is out of character for anybody that's a father or a stepfather, especially when it's a stepdaughter that you're trying to win over to make the family whole. But yeah, I mean, his calm demeanor fit, his character of not yelling. But man, I would have like read her the riot act a couple of times because of damn near getting yourself killed.
And their friends, yeah, or people that
And her friends killed. There should have been like, setting off a Richter scale level yelling. He's just like, well, yeah, you kind of need to not do that anymore, Courtney.
Yeah, I mean, in certain scenes he did kind of elevate himself a little bit, but you're right, he didn't kind of do it enough, I guess. So I do think that's one of the problems with the show, maybe. But yeah, it's like I said, I do prefer sometimes when a show not rushes to where it's like broken, but rushes to where, okay, this is at a really good pace, but we're gonna go slightly faster. And then by episode, what was it, 4 or 5, we had like 3 of these members established, and I don't know, I just like the pace of that, so I thought that was good. Any particular favourites from the JSA members from once we get it kind of formed in that?
I do like the Our Man character, because that's something that, he's had all this guilt all his life, and now all of a sudden he's got this crazy amount of strength, and that he has a way to vent all of this guilt onto somebody for the Solomon Grundy once they, announce that, yeah, that's actually who killed your parents. So now he has a target for all the rage he's felt for probably 10 plus years. And then he gets to the point where he can just end it, and he chooses not to. I saw that as a really good development for his character of, getting past that trauma in his life.
Yeah.
So that I thought worked really, really well. I do like the sadness that Beth had when the Dr. Midnight glasses got destroyed, because she basically lost her best friend.
That was really sad, yeah.
That had a touching moment.
I've never been so sad at a pair of glasses getting broken before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just a pair of glasses, it's, this AI, basically. So.
Yeah, but that was her friend.
Yeah.
And she lost her friend.
Yeah.
I do like that eventually Courtney did come around to Pat kind of being her dad. I mean, obviously that was the whole arc of her being a not nice person towards him, towards her finally accepting that this is her family now and she ought to love him. I did like that at the end. I thought that was a really touching end. Having Joel McHale as Starman and then showing up in that last end cap as a season spoiler. Again, I don't get him cast as that character. that was when they pulled off that mask, and I was like, is that fucking Joel McHale? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. I like John McHale a lot, and to me, I don't know, I haven't seen him in much else apart from Community and a couple of other things where he plays a very different character in Community. But I don't know, I think he fit fairly well in that. I thought that was good. I'm just happy to see him in another show. And I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I haven't seen him in, but just in terms of, new stuff that I'm watching or whatever, I thought that
if you want to see a really good movie with Luke Wilson in it, you should look up Idiocracy.
Cool.
A lot of star power in it. Luke Wilson's in it. Early Maya Rudolph. Terry Crews is hilarious in it. Sarah Rue's in it. And it's an absolute hilarious movie. And he kind of plays like the deadpan character in it, and everybody
Okay.
else is just like he's at a 3, and everybody else has dialed it up to 11. So
Cool. Speaking of villains, I really liked Neil Jackson as Jordan. I thought he was really, really good. Just intimidating. Had his own reasons for had good reasons for doing stuff. Because at the end of the day, as good as someone's performance as a villain can be, if it's just I want to rule the world because I want to rule the world, yeah, you're limiting not just the actor, but you're limiting both the actor and the character and what the actor can do with that. But there was the whole thing with I think it was his wife or whatever. I thought that fit in really well. Thought that was good. So yeah, what do you think of him?
yeah, I liked it a lot. I mean, superheroes are only as interesting as the villains they have to fight. That's why Batman has always been more of an interesting character, because he's got the interesting villains to fight, whereas Superman, he's so overpowered you have to basically neuter him to have any of the villains, pose any kind of a real threat. But Batman being mortal and no powers at all, that makes anybody possibly able to get him. But he overcomes that, with his brains and his tech.
Yeah.
In the same way, how do you fight a villain that, reads your thoughts and can blast your brain into a billion pieces? So that's a real challenge, obviously, that she has to overcome.
Speaking of characters related to Jordan, I don't know if I remember this. Henry King Jr. was the one that. He's the one that died, wasn't he? The
Yeah,
rubble
he
and
died.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. Do you think he'll be back comic book DC style next season, or
Unless they do a
Crisis thing?
crisis twist to it, I don't think so, because they pretty much splattered him pretty good in his death scene.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I thought it was quite effective actually with I think it was the scene with Wildcat when she goes to that area that he died again, and she sees him, but it's actually, I think it was Jordan, no, it was somebody else pretending to be him, like a
yeah, it was
shapeshift.
his dad pretending to be him.
Yeah, yeah, and they sorted that out. I thought that was quite interesting as well. Thought that was quite good. So
Yeah.
but yeah, because it did make you think for a minute, like, okay, was he trapped under there but not dead, and he managed to get himself out somehow? Because TV makes you question things sometimes, which is good because it's supposed to. But yeah, we'll see what happens with him next season. Is there any other characters you want to talk about?
Not really off the top of my head. I think that some of the character arcs they did really well. Some I think they can improve on. But really, I actually am looking forward to the next season because I do want to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, yeah. Just for one of my last points I want to talk about, I want to go back to what you mentioned earlier with the Solomon Grundy thing, because I was going to comment off of what you said, and then we got talking about something else. I thought that was one of the most effective things of the season. Just like he's rightfully angry about what happened with his parents and everything, and then he's kind of he's wondering why it happened or whatever, and there's this whole car crash thing, and we didn't know it was we knew it was some sort of something there. We didn't know it was Solomon Grundy, I don't think, at the time, because that was in the first couple of episodes, and then they revealed it obviously much later in the season what was going on. Just how they tied that back into like the group and the glasses with Beth, because you get the hologram stuff that gets revealed, and then like you said with him not killing Solomon, and then Solomon's like surprise emotion towards that, I thought was really good. So other than everything they did with Courtney, which I thought was great, and she's a really great lead character, I thought that was the most effective point of the season, what they did there.
Yeah, and I don't know if you picked up on it early or not, but some of the early scenes of him getting raised by his uncle was like dumping a ton of crap, basically blaming him for his parents' death.
Yeah.
And so to have that revelation of it's not my fault, and then that revelation of, oh my God, it's your fault, and then being able to, physically vent that out, then yeah, I agree with you. That was probably my favorite character arc of the whole series. Now it'll be interesting to see what he does post that. But yeah, I like I said, I'm looking forward to a season 2. I hope they maintain the writing, because it was pretty decent for the most part. I mean, there's obviously going to be a few exceptions, but
Sure.
there wasn't anything that made me want to like throw my remote through the TV.
Don't do that. No. No, because then you have to buy a new TV. Um,
Mhm.
But yeah, the two most interesting things to me was Courtney's training with the staff, and then what happened there with Solomon Grundy. Plus, as well, that's the most interesting portrayal I've ever seen of Solomon Grundy. They did some really poor stuff with Solomon Grundy in Gotham, most of which I actually forgot just until I remembered it just now, because he was in Gotham
And
for 3 episodes, or do you know what? I honestly can't even
a
remember.
few.
Yeah,
Gotham went way into Whacktown.
yeah.
But if you remember the show where they introduced the Barry Allen character in Arrow was also had Solomon Grundy as the main villain.
I don't remember that. Don't remember that.
Yeah, the Allen was investigating the weird stuff, and then something got stolen from Queen Tech, and it was like too heavy for like 10 people to lift, but one person lifted it, and that wound up being Solomon Grundy. So
Okay. But yeah, I briefly remember like the Gotham stuff, which was nowhere near as good as what they've done here. But yeah, he's like beating Solomon Grundy to death, and you kind of just felt for the character in that moment. So yeah, they've kept him around for season 2, so that should be quite exciting. So cool. I think that's everything that we've pretty much got for Stargirl the first season. We recommend you go and watch it either on CW, DC Universe, or Amazon Prime for the UK. If those of you who are listening have got any thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, concerns about Stargirl Season 1 or Season 2 or the future of the show or whatever the case may be, or anything related to Entertainment Talk, Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK, contact page and information in your show notes as well. So have a look out for all that. I think we'll do some coverage in some way, shape or form for Season 2. I don't know if Amazon's going to do weekly next day UK release. I don't know if it's going to be box set. It's just far too early to tell, because they picked it up, I think it was about 5 episodes or something after Stargirl are dead, something like that, and then they dropped it as a box set, I think, the week after it finished on DC Universe. So but we don't even know when the season's going to come out next time, so we'll update you obviously closer to that time, which will be a while from now. So
yeah, at the end of the episode they say 2021, but I got to figure that graphic was put in there pre-COVID.
yeah. So maybe the end of 2021, who knows? So we'll see. But thank you all very much for listening. You can find everything that we've got on entertainmenttalk.org. Just to mention as well, if you do like the CW DC shows, we do cover Batwoman, Flash, Arrow's finished. We used to do Supergirl, but no longer. We are going to be doing the first season of Superman and Lois. Black Lightning did a season 3 review, and then there is Legends of Tomorrow. So those are those shows, and then we'll see what happens with the future of that, because we still don't know about the Green Arrow Canaries thing as well.
Nothing official that I've seen, and I have said before.
We'd soon know, I think, if that was greenlit.
And that's actually one that I am interested to see. I think they might hold off on that for like another year or two, let things get back to normal, and then if if Batwoman doesn't come back for season 3, which I would be floored if it came back for season 3.
Yeah.
They could bring in that as a replacement for that show. So.
Yep, we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, everything on entertainmenttalk.org, TV, video games, films, and Manchester United content. Other than that, you can support the podcast with lots of different options. Patreon, you can have a look at us on there, the $1 and $3 level tiers for review, ad-free podcast, and instant podcast options. Amazon affiliate link if you're buying stuff on there. We can get a small cut. It won't cost you extra. iTunes feeds, if you search for Entertainment Talk on your podcast platform of choice, you should be able to find us. If you can't, by the way, let us know, because we want to know what podcast platform that is. But search for Entertainment Talk on your podcast platform of choice and subscribe to us, rate, review if you can. You can also find Geek Town, run by David, of course, on iTunes. That's for up-to-date, reliable TV and film news. Geek Town Radio is on Tuesdays. The new episode for this week is out and available to listen to. It's got Bex this week, so check that out as well. And you can find that geektown.co.uk, Geek Town Radio, iTunes. Just search for Geek Town and you should be able to find that. Speaking of Bex, you can find her on Twitch, daily, doing just lots of full fun, cool, random, interesting stuff on there. So if you search for Trista Bytes, that's Trista Bytes. Go and search for that on Twitch. And you can follow her on there as well. Word of mouth, you can tell people that you know about Spex's stuff, my stuff, David's, everybody's work and whatever, through word of mouth. Tell people that you know and everything. You can do the same thing through social media, Facebook and Twitter, and different Facebook groups. And lastly, look out for Let's Play Sundays, which are back as well. So look out for them. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.